everyone to another episode of our Global Employability Expert Series. My name is Mirta Aguirre. I'm the head of coaching and employability at Virtual Internships. And today we bring you a very interesting topic, which is how to present online like a pro, right? We nowadays live in a super online world. We are doing our internships, our program, we are working remotely, and knowing how to present is a super needed work skill, but definitely is something you need to know online nowadays. So for today's topic, before we go in, let's remember a little bit how our webinar works, okay? We are recording this session so you can watch it later on again, and you can share it with other people who may find it interesting. And the idea is that you ask questions, okay? You have the Q&A section, you have the chat section. Please ask many questions. We have a wonderful speaker. We want you to take advantage of that. So please make any questions you may like, okay? And remember, you can always find our different webinars in a YouTube channel, and you can subscribe so you can receive all the new recordings we upload every 2 weeks. So our today speaker is Susanna Hedstrom. She is a certified corporate coach and a leadership trainer with expertise in business administrations and finance. Before the pandemic, so way before we all started transitioning into the virtual world, she had already worked for 15 years with global teams in remote and hybrid workspace, both as an entrepreneur and in her corporate roles. So she has lots of experience working remotely, presenting online, and she will share all of that with us. Today, she helps individuals to adapt to the new landscape of the global job market, and she helps organizations achieve high performance in the new tech era. And today's webinar. So did you know that being able to give effective presentations is a must-have work skill? Well, if you knew, we're going to explore this further. If you didn't, welcome to our webinar. And in this webinar, we will discover specific factors that make an online presentation engaging and impactful, and how developing this skill can be a key asset to boost your career in this remote and hybrid era. So in today's session, we will learn how to prepare the content of your online presentation, how to deliver in a professional way, how to make it a valuable asset in your job search. So welcome, Susanna. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me. Hello, all of you. Right, so I'm very happy to be here, and yes, today we're really going to focus on the employability side of having presentation skills. So if that's okay, I can share my screen and begin with the presentation.
Where are you connecting from, Susanna? Where are you at the moment?
So I think I know a few of the people present. Others will be the first time we meet. So to give you a few more fun facts about me, I now work internationally, globally, across 6 continents, and partly with virtual internships also, from France, from the Paris region, where I'm based since 22 years. Right, so today we're going to talk about how to present effectively online. Because as Mirta said, today and how to make that those presentation skills a career asset. Like Mirta said, today we are presenting online, often here on Zoom, but it can be on other platforms also. But presentation skills and presenting online will prepare us not only for a single presentation or for a single occasion, but in a wider scope to connect with people and build other transferable skills that will help you in both your long-term career and your job search. So that is the aim to get down today. First of all, we're going to pass by the aspect of preparing the content that you're going to use. Preparation is pretty much everything, just about everything we do. So it's really the beginning and the end of everything. How to deliver effectively and showcase that we have effective online communication skills, because as most of you know, working and presenting in person and communicating in person is not at all the same challenge as it can be in an online situation. And then how to use an online presentation, for example, a bit like this one where it's recorded, and you can share recordings and captions and use that to boost your professional branding. Right, so in the beginning, Myrta said that since COVID struck, online work and remote work have been the new norm across pretty much all industries, whereas before that, it was mostly in international global work situations or in tech businesses or other branches that it was already something common. But now it has smitten everywhere. And although we're into long COVID now, so with vaccinations, things are calming down and companies and industries are finding this new normal, we're still going to see how this develops over time, because it's not something that is ready to go away. Hybrid work situations are here to stay, and in the future workplace, you will see that even if you may be working on site, you will have managers, collaborators, teammates, and other stakeholders, internal or external, that will be working from home. So it is still skills that is really, really needed. So the top 3 transferable skills in today's global job market for 2023, this is the trend. It's about creativity, adaptability, and online communication, right? So these 3 can all be proven by you through you showcasing your ability to present online. These are 3 ingredients that you will need to harness and know how to dose in order to be successful in your presentation. So first of all, we need to prepare. What you need to keep in mind is that the slides that you're going to use is only a support. You are the leader, you are the captain of the boat, and you're going to take people from one point to another. And so your slides is only the support to what you are going to say and to your message. So to be mindful about your slides, you should consider 3 things. During this presentation, you will also notice that 3 is the magic number. If we want to break a subject down, we usually break it down into 3 smaller pieces, right? We'll come to that a little bit later during the content building. So one thing is the screen variety that people use today. When you make a presentation, chances are that some of the people are going to watch it on big screens, others on a laptop, others on a pad, and others on smaller screens like mobile phones. So you need to make your slide content readable and easily catchy to the eye and identifiable to the eye on all sorts of screens. Then also think that it's great to have a contrast between the text, the background, and the accent colors that you use in your presentation. Today, I have chosen to use a lot of white and yellow and black. And I like the yellow color because it's awakening, right? It helps for concentration and learning. And you should also think about highlighting the keywords. In a slide, it's totally okay to go in depth, right, of the information you want to share, but help people by making certain words either fat or big so that it stands out from the rest of the information. Then you also need to choose what visuals you're going to use. So today we have a large choice on so many places, and most of them you can get for free. All of these pictures that I'm using today, I found them on free websites. So you have ordinary images, you can have graphics, charts, you can add videos, and you can have animations, you can use GIFs. The thing is that in our day and age where people are scrolling all day or watching video, watching televisions, literally our everyday life is filled with screens. So we have become used to seeing a lot of visuals passing before our eyes all day long, right? We may not really think about that impact, but this is the way we are used to seeing visuals. So think about that, the fact that your visual needs to draw some attention or to sort of help your narration going forth. Right. Then about interactive presenting. It's a little bit different every time. Like, for example, in this webinar, we will have a Q&A session after. In some other presentations, you will have questions from the audience during, like all through the session. But you can also think about having people interacting both with you and with each other by creating polls or having collaborative note boards or breakout discussions. And this is great for also keeping your audience engaged and keeping it interesting. One other thing that we really also need to think about is to respect each other's time. Time is money, but also today, with our hyper connectivity, people are really guarding their time and private space. The trend right now goes towards also well-being and mental health in the workspace. So people have become aware that during COVID, there were certain trends like what they call the phenomenon of Zoom fatigue, where people feel that it's a waste of time, where they could have been more productive to sit in a meeting where they don't feel that they are given the most value. And that can really be stressing people out. Or it can be that people feel exposed to cameras and all sorts of things that that came with the change towards remote work. So we really want to give people value so that it makes worthwhile the time that they spent with you during your presentation. So when we want to present something, it's because we want to tell people something. We have a message. And in order to figure out how to build the content and how to describe whatever it is that they need to know in order to adhere to your idea or whatever it is you're going to talk about, we need to kind of get into the head of your audience or the other person that you're going to talk to. Sometimes it may be a recruiter or a hiring manager. It can be an audience like this, or it can be your team members. If you're working in a team online with people in other locations, then you also want to, pitch your ideas or propose something for your teamwork, something that could bring things to a better place. So this is why we want to understand how other people think in order to know what to say, because what we really are looking for is a transformation, right? They are at a point A, they have some sort of problem, otherwise they wouldn't be there for your presentation. And you have a solution, you have something that you can teach them. So you want to figure out how to take them from point A to point B and open their eyes and get them to see what it is that they need to see. So we want to get to know what it is that they already know, what they need to learn, what their feelings are, how they're feeling about certain things that are relevant to your subject, and what we need to tell them and show them and prove to them in order for them to open their eyes to what it is that you want to help them with and how to go about it. So knowing the audience is really the first thing that we need to do. And then as we are putting together the pieces of the puzzle for persuasion, we need to know the three key pieces. And this is not something that I have invented. These three pieces were defined by Aristotle back in the days, and it's ethos, which is all about credibility. It can be about building your brand, showing up in a powerful way. It can be to have, for example, endorsements or recommendations. It's everything that can kind of strengthen who you are and why you are in a good place to talk about a specific subject. So it can also be your education, it can be certain research that you have worked on, right? So everything that can position you in a place where you feel confident and where people will trust you. It's about trust building also, to tell them and teach them something. And then we have pathos, which is all about the emotional part. Building an emotional connection with your audience is really key, because people make decisions based on emotions, and then after they've already decided, then they look for excuses. they look to justify their decisions in different ways, and that is very often where the next part comes in. But basically, emotions can be triggered by visuals, images, everything moving. It can be also a personal story, and everything you can think of that will add some personal touch into your presentation, or something that you know will speak to them. If you're talking about a certain solution that will solve their problems, you can tie back to their emotional trigger with that problem, right? So sorry, logic, we can see that here. So right, often we justify decisions by using logic, and logic is all about proof. It's about numbers, figures, statistics, results of any research, and it can also be proof, for example, client testimonials, right? That's a social proof of that your product or service or competence is great and is something to reckon with. Right, so right, so now we have figured out the pieces building up to this transformation. And now we want to think about the structure. So to begin with, and this is why this part is overarching the other pieces in this in this it looks like it looks like this building of couple of pieces for me. But you'll see as the slides go further, you'll get to see what I mean. Right, but the overarching part here is a key message, and a key message should be concise, right? It should be short, sweet. It should be clear. You need to level with your audience. Again, you have already made your research, you know who they are, what they know, what they think, what they feel, so that you can choose a language that's going to speak to them in a way that it seems clear, and that they understand how it can benefit them and how to get there. It also needs to be compelling, meaning it has to catch their attention because it's going to tell them what's in it for them. What is the value? Why should they even listen? Why should they be here and sit here? All right, so this is what I call the 3 C's. You can see up in the corner that I have 3 C's. So that's kind of just a mind note for you as we go further into the slides. Right, so under this roof, we have a first pillar, right? And that pillar is what I call situation. This is where we're going to show pieces of evidence for where people are at right now and what is happening right now, what needs to change, and why it is important. So we're going to talk about examples that can describe the current situation, things in which people can recognize themselves, like, for example, in order to find a new job or advance in our career, we really would win by knowing how to present effectively online, because it has been studied on, and experts have seen that when we showcase presentation skills, it also lets other people understand that we have certain communication skills. It will make us seen and noticed in the working world, and also maybe in your current work, and it will give you new opportunities, for example. And then you can also continue to tell people about the situation using statistics and facts and case studies, and also explain what the problem is with staying like it is in status quo, right? Not changing. What will that lead to, and what negative outcome do we risk when we stay like this as it is right now? Then we're going to talk about the steps. That's the second pillar. And the steps is all about actions. It is about solutions and how to go about them. And it also involves some kind of timeline. You know, how do we go about this step by step? When do we start? When do we finish? How often? How many times? How long? And so it's all about steps, action, how to implement, and we're also going to have to explain to people in a clear way how to use certain processes, what methods to use, or what kind of strategy to build. And again, it's a timeline and a plan that we're rolling out. And then the success, right? This is really where you're going to catch people, because it will answer to their question of what's in it for me, right? Why is this worth my while? And how will it makes me feel? Again, we make decisions based on emotions. So that part is really, really important to get down right. So it's all about results and outcomes. And right, we also need to point out how this is a transformation, how this result is exactly the opposite of the status quo problems that comes with staying in a situation where we are afraid to go forward, or we are too hesitant, and now is the time. So we also need to show them why the urgency right now. Then at last, we wrap it all together with a call to action. And call to action needs to be smart. So most of you may have seen or heard of this already, but SMART actually means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and it's time bound, right? And this is really one of the keys to any sort of success. Without SMART goals and expectations, we are not going to be able to negotiate anything in our careers, because we need to prove that what was given to us, what was expected of us, has been delivered on. And it's going to help us show that we are reliable and that people can trust in us. And so why does the call to action needs to be smart? And I really put emphasis on achievable here, because if this first step that you are asking from your audience, if it isn't achievable in their minds, maybe it is to you, but is it for them? So this is also why you need to know your audience to craft a great call to action. Because if the jump is too big of a step, and it feels too dangerous to them, chances are that they're just going to stay there on the other side and not go with you to where you want them to be. And that takes us to the delivery. So it's all again about effective communication. And this may seem like a basic aspect, but many times, too many actually, people overlook this. So I would even say not only check your setup, but double check your setup. Is your microphone working? Is your internet connection optimal? And does your camera working? How have you set your camera? Is your camera at eyesight level for you, or is it too low so that you see your double chin? Like, you see, when often people talk on their mobile phones, you can see them now. Okay, I'm just gonna, but you can see them kind of like this, from this perspective, and that is not great at all, because we don't want to see double chins and we don't want to look up their noses. So it's really important that you think of also that you take the time and you be on time. And when I say be on time, it's not actually being there when it starts, it's being there at least 10 minutes before your presentation starts, so you have the time to deal with any unforeseen factors that may play into your success, right? Because whatever is unforeseen, we can foresee, so we need to plan for what's unforeseen.
And
so
just let me add something, like this
yes.
can definitely undermine our professionalism, right? Because when
Yes.
you may have a great content and you may be super knowledgeable, but if the way you are presenting is not right, then someone may think this is a bit odd, right? If I'm like, I don't know, in a worse situation, or just like you said, or I've had conversations with people like they were just like, what, this is very weird looking. So this is super important to look right? Professional is as important as actually being professional and knowledgeable about a topic.
Yes, exactly. It's about your credibility here. All right. So make sure that you're on you're before time, and you're early, and you make sure you double check everything.
And have
Because
you mentioned the background, or are you going to mention the background?
I will do that also.
Okay,
because
just to remember not to leave
because it's
any
part of
clothes
this.
behind, any
Yes.
towel if you're in the room, right? That we definitely don't want to see that in a work presentation.
Yes, exactly. Because you only have one chance to make a first good impression, right? So, if you're in an environment that is not that is not neutral, for example, where people can see your laundry baskets, or your every everything that may be around you, and and all of the distractions also, that can really undermine your presentation. So the first impression is not only about you, how you show up, the way you are dressed, and the way your environment looks like. It's kind of a holistic first impression when we are on video like this. So make sure that you check in with you already know your audience, right? You have done your research. If you are presenting, for example, to bankers, or in the banking, it depends on industries, but you need to be clear on the dress code, because you need to look the part. In some industries, it's super laid back. It's Friday wear here, and then Tuesday wear there. Right? People can hop on calls in t-shirts and whatnot. And in other industries, people have a little bit more of a formal expectation on how you are dressed and how you show up. So you really want to be clear on what's expected from you, your environment, and how you show up. So that goes into the first good impression. So you don't want to miss out on that, because a first good impression can really help your case as you are presenting and doing your thing, right? And the main ways of influence that you have during your delivery is also different from where you are doing public speaking or presentations in an in-personal setting, because here it's going to be the visuals that will take overhand, and then again, make it dynamic. Use colors, use a little bit of movement, and you also want to use your voice. Second comes your voice, actually. So when we are presenting in an in-person situation, it would be the body language who takes over before the voice. But since we are in a tiny, see, like like we are here, you can only see the top part of the body. So so the body language now comes under your voice. Your voice becomes more important than your actual body language, because body language is a little bit limited to certain gestures that you can fit into the shoulder space of your of your being, right? So so we want to we want to think about that. We want to use our voice in a way that feels natural, and that also is not too monotone, right? We want to we want to make we want to use that to keep our content living and
keep
ongoing
people
and
awake,
fluid.
right? And interested.
Also,
Because
yes, right?
if we speak everything in the same tone, or we don't make any vibrations, at a certain moment, people will just
Fall
disconnect.
asleep, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. People have a limited attention span. It's usually between 20 to 30 minutes. So thank you for hanging in there. But this is a fact, right? So think about that. And now we've come to the last part, which is about how you can use your presentation skills and your actual presentation, if it's something that you have been allowed to record or take captions from, how you can use it to leverage your career, right? Because today it's all about branding. It's not only entrepreneurs who brand themselves, it's all professionals, whether you are an employee or you're a freelancer, you are a CEO, you're having your own business, it does not matter. Today, all professionals are trying really, really hard to be seen, heard, noticed, and to set themselves apart from competition. And today, we have come to this point where before anybody is going to hire you, is going to buy from you, or even talk to you, or even schedule a call with you, they're going to do some online vetting. They're going to Google you, they're going to LinkedIn you, they're going to search for you on social media. So our internet footprint is extremely important. So you want to think of your branding all the time. Also, because the power of LinkedIn today, 9 out of 10 employers has it as an official part of their recruitment process to go and check out people's LinkedIn profiles before even considering somebody for an interview. So branding yourself as a professional on LinkedIn has also become of more and more importance, especially since COVID. And then also in a networking world that we see today, in order to get more and better job opportunities or career development opportunities, people need to feel that you are somebody worth betting on, right? They want to trust in your competence, your knowledge, and that you are somebody that's reliable and that's basically going to deliver whatever they expect of you. Right, so you can use a presentation to leverage, for example, your CV to begin with. On a CV, you would typically put your name on top and then a contact information section. So if you want to use that caption or that recording for your CV, you can use it in either your contact section, depending on what kind of work it is. If you are, for example, a teacher and you're going to spend a lot of time presenting, or if you're going to sell, or if you're going to have a role where you will really spend most of your time presenting to other people, then you definitely want to put, for example, your recording video as a clickable link high up on your CV, so that it's visible, and so that a future employer or a recruiter can click on it and get social proof directly, and so that they don't have to take your word for your presentation skills. But I think most of us has it as a part, maybe a little bit less time consuming part in our professional sphere. And in that situation, it's really, really helpful to create a portfolio that you can also link to your CV and have as a clickable link. So a portfolio would typically be an external website where you can display, you can have your CV there, you can have some sort of personal narrative, you can have diplomas, you can have certificates, you can have pictures, you can have like albums of yourself doing, relevant things to a job that you are looking for. And you can also link your presentation video in your portfolio, and link your portfolio now in your CV, right? So it's it's like the Russian dolls here. You can play with this, and you can kind of find your own combination that really works for you. But these are just a few ways that you can do to use it to leverage your job search, for example. So then obviously we also have LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you also have a portfolio. You can actually add pictures, like captions of your presentation, in your LinkedIn features. You can also put a video in there if you wanna do so. And you can showcase your skills and ask people to recommend your presentation skills in your LinkedIn profile. So these are just a few ways that you can make it known that you have communication skills online, that you are able to connect with people via screens, and that you can adapt to this new work environment that we see developing day by day, and that you are creative, that you have new ideas, that you can really brand yourself through a presentation, and engage with people and deliver something interesting. So thank you so much. We've come to the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for showing up and for listening to me. And now I think Mirta is going to have a look in the chat, or maybe some of you have questions.
So this is a moment where you share your questions. And my first question could be a question that Fatih is bringing, very interesting question. And the question is, when I make presentations, sometimes I feel myself so excited that I cannot keep my concentration. What would you suggest that I do to cool down when I'm so excited?
Right. Right. So it's about, I'm hearing two things here. I'm hearing both excitement, and so it's like this inner thing that you feel that you need to harness, but also to stay concentrated on what you're doing, right? So that you can keep track of your slideshow and what you need to deliver in terms of message and information for each slide. And yes, I understand. If you're too excited, then you can kind of slip away from the main route. So first of all, when we breathe effectively, this will help us to refocus. Breathing is a very, very important thing to do correctly, right? Deep breathing, and not breathing with the shoulders like this, with your upper body, but breathing with your belly, right? This is what's going to give oxygen to your brain and help you to keep focused, and help you think clearly, and also help you against against your own nerves. If some of you are out there and you know that you easily feel nervous or may lack confidence, breathing is really the key thing to both having clarity of mind and confidence and self-control. So that is my very first tip. The other thing would be to not rely only on your slides, but to print out, for example, or even like draw or write, whatever feels good for you, but have also a paper version. And why is this important? Because sometimes we don't know with tech. Sometimes we have issues, right? Sometimes, our slideshow doesn't work out as we thought, but no worries, because the real star in your show, the one that is adding the most value, again, your slides are only a support for what you already know and the information that you already have, right? So even if something would go wrong with your slides, that's not a problem because you have it all within you. You're totally capable. So have a paper form backbone, I'd say. Have an overview, a visual overview, maybe, if that's helpful, of your slides, what they look like, and also write down some notes about them that you can print out just in case, right? So that would be a really, that would be my top top tips for that situation.
And I'd add to that, use post-its. Sometimes when you're presenting, we need to be smart in every way we can. Stick your post-its to next to your camera, right? Of course not there, but like, so when you know, for instance, names are the names of the people you need to speak with, right? Sometimes we may get so anxious, excited, or nervous that we said, oh, okay, and instead of calling you Susanna, I call you Samantha, and then I'm like, oh no, I introduced the presenter wrongly, right? I don't want that to happen. So key messages, key things I need to remember, then I need to make it easier for myself. Use a post-it, right? Put it there. Practice, practice, practice. Of course, as Susanna said, create an outline of the main things you want to say and practice that, right? Even if it's just something that may seem silly, like, oh, am I going to practice an introduction? Yes, absolutely. You want to practice. Say, hi, welcome everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Today I'm gonna show practice, because the more you do it, when you get to the registration, then you said, okay, I already did it. So that's great. And Susanna, we have another question here. How to keep a presentation on a research topic interactive when it is supposed to focus on facts?
Right. So I'm thinking, you know, the way I'm understanding is, you know, that you may have a lot of, you know, numbers, charts, etc. So typically, when you're just giving a specific information, well, during that time, there cannot really be interaction, but because it's a one-way, you know, it's a one-way communication there, and it's normal. So don't feel bad about it, because it's something that you need to teach them in order for them to understand. But after then, there can be interaction. If you use that information to, because, you know, your logic, your proof will help you build a case. And once you have built your case, then you can have people interact and see how they reacted, how they received certain information, and see what thoughts they have about it. And this is also where you can better understand your audience and give them personalized information that's really that's really going to address whatever specific questions or doubts that they may have about what you just said, or if they want more proof, or if they want some explanations about some of the numbers you used, why, how. This is a perfect occasion after, you know, after you made your case to have that interaction. So interaction doesn't have to be all the time. It needs to be when it's purposeful, right?
Yes, and also if we think, if we perhaps, like you said, it is challenging to keep it interactive, but we can think of keeping it engaging, right? We can use, nowadays, we all probably heard about storytelling, right? Storytelling is using stories to convey a message. And there's also data storytelling. If you are more interested in research topics, you can do a little bit of research in how to use data storytelling, which is how can I use a story to show even data, right? So as Susanna mentioned, perhaps we have a solution problem oriented presentation, right? Me as a researcher, I need to show the numbers of how I made it to solve a problem, or how a situation changed, improved, or worsened, right? So I can say, okay, we had this starting point, we had this situation, we started with this number, right? And I can use a compelling number, an image that gives a sense of what I describing, and then this is what happened, right? And I can use images, numbers, graphics, use representative graphics if I want to show how this evolved. So there are many tools that we can explore, everything related to storytelling, whether it is data storytelling or storytelling in general, will be super useful for these kind of presentations.
Yeah, right. And I also wanted to pitch in there because as I said earlier, besides obviously the visuals, the most powerful, influential tool that you have is your voice. So storytelling is also a way of using your voice to engage your audience, because using your voice it can be about the pitch that you use. It can be about slowing down a little bit, or increasing the pace. It can be to use more intensity, right? To underline certain things, right? You see what I mean? So you can really use your voice to build some sort of dynamic to compensate for other things.
Definitely, definitely. And do we have any other questions before we wrap up? One thing I want to mention, which Susanna shared, is we mentioned about the three different aspects that Aristotle mentioned, like more than 250 years ago, which is how can we persuade people, right? And it is good to remember, we can persuade people through ethos. Ethos is our credibility, is who we are, right? So when you're starting a presentation, always make sure to explain a little bit who you are and why you're doing this, right? Or what led to your presentation. For instance, if you're doing a presentation for your supervisor or your mentor, then explain, okay, I've been doing this program for 3 weeks now. During this time, I had the opportunity to speak with many different stakeholders, and this is what I learned, right? So I'm really making my case that what I'm sharing here is based on my experience, is based on the research I've done with different people, and I've prepared for this presentation. So this is me, very well prepared with, and of course, if you have a relevant background on the topic, right? I've studied finance, or I'm very interested in this topic. So use that to express who you are and why that makes you a good person, the best person to be presenting what you're presenting. Of course, when we talk about pathos, which is emotion, which is the emotions you have and you convey in the audience, like Susanna said, use images, right? Use stories. So it doesn't become something that you said, oh my God, I just want to fall asleep, right? Make it engaging. And of course, we need the data, right? That is the logos, right? This is the evidence, the information. If I'm doing a work presentation, then I definitely want to have all the results. I want to have the explanation, right? So these three key elements, the ethos, who is speaking, the pathos, the emotion I'm creating in the audience, and the emotion I have, right? Because if I'm interested in what I'm sharing, the people will be interested as well. If I'm like, yeah, okay, so these are the results, and we can see it went up 50%. Chances are people say like, okay, if you are not interested, if you are not motivated in what you are sharing, why should I, right? And then logos, the information, what you are actually presenting. So Susanna, we have one last question. If you had to share one very quick tip to be a pro in presenting, what could that be? How should I prepare myself? What is that you want to share with us?
Right. That would be to keep it simple as possible. Simplicity is what everybody longs for. People don't want to stay in online presentations for nothing. They want to get value out of it, and they want to know that already in the beginning, which is why we talked about takeaways. You can hook your audience in the beginning and make them project in the value that they are going to have out of your presentation. So basically a presentation, what I've said now during this presentation could be narrowed down into one single sentence, right? And that is something that you all should train yourself to do. Whatever you're saying, if it takes even 1 hour or 90 minutes, it should all be able to narrow down and boil it down to a very essence, and that should be able to fit into one sentence, right? So so you need to stay with, simplicity. That's really the most important part. Again, the key message is the key message. It is the overarching the overarching part of your structure, and it's also the very heart of what you're saying. So keep tying back to your key message, and everything will go just fine.
Excellent, Susanna. Thank you very much. Please stay in touch with us. Part of our program is all about connecting with each other. You have Susanna's LinkedIn. You can find me also. I've seen people have been sharing also their LinkedIn profiles, and let's keep connected. If you want to have the slides of this presentation, send us an email to internshipcoach@virtualinternships, and we will be very happy to assist you. Remember, you have 2 coaching calls in your program, and if you haven't taken them, probably you will receive an email to book these calls. Take advantage of them. Susanna is one of our coaches, so you may be lucky enough to have a one-on-one session with Susanna. She's an excellent career coach as well, so maybe you are lucky and you get Susanna as a coach. So do that. Book your coaching call whenever you receive the email, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, you can find all our previous recordings here. So subscribe to our YouTube list. Okay, so thank you very much for everyone. Danke, shukran, gracias. Ni hao, is that thank you? I don't want to say things I don't know. So merci, Susanna.
Merci. Oui, merci. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and stay connected with us, right? Share your LinkedIn. Let's connect. Hi. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.